Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter where you may find yourself as you listen to this and you tune into the only sports podcast with brains and bars. It's a black and white thing featuring A1 and A Ward. I am one half of the dynamic duo. I am A1. You can check out every episode of It's a Black and White Thing by going to the podcast app of your choice, searching for It's a Black and White Thing or Brains and Bars. Subscribe, comment, give us 5 stars. Don't be a hater and give us 4 stars. Give us 5 stars. You can also follow us with live here on YouTube by searching for Brains and Bars. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. You can also follow us by going to all social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, search Brains and Bars. And you can check out the content there. Shout out to people, man. Like, for the first time, I've actually engaged doing TikTok and IG reels and Facebook, listen, this is a small little platform. So, getting the notifications. Hey, this got 500 views. This got 1,000 views. This got 1,500. I appreciate y'all checking. Hey, listen, this is crazy. At work, people have been coming up to me dude, I saw you on TikTok. And I'm like, oh, yeah. I had a coworker text me 8 o'clock at night. She's like, why did you just come across my algorithm?
That's
one of
funny.
my FedEx drivers was talking to one of my staff members, did you know Carlos was on TikTok? He does a sports podcast.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so I mean, hey, somehow it's getting out there into the algorithms are algorithming.
Yep.
So shout out to y'all. I appreciate that. And I don't do this show by myself. As you can see, I got the homie A Ward in the building. What's going on, my good guy?
Man, the older I get, the longer the recovery is of going out of town. It's like we're here. It's Thursday, and I'm finally starting to feel like I got a little bit of energy. So yeah, took a couple of days for me, man.
Like I told you, I have, my wife, she went out of town Tuesday. So, or Monday, sorry, went out of town Monday. So it's been me and the kid, and I've been kind of when you have a child and you are a parenting unit together, right? You tag team things, you work on these things together, morning routines, nighttime routines, all that good stuff, right? When it's just one of you, at least from my perspective, I'm like, okay, I got to pick clothes out for both of us at night. I'm got to get, he eats strawberries. I'm like, I got to get the strawberries prepped, ready to rock and roll for breakfast in the morning. I'm doing all these little things to get things popping so that when I get up, we can make sure we're on the same timeline. And so that means I've been staying up to midnight, doing other stuff too, stuff for my job, stuff for work, or for school. And so I have not been to sleep before midnight at all this week, at all. And so I'm with our flight being delayed.
And now normally you go to bed around 10, 11?
Probably 11 o'clock, I'm done. I'm probably eyes closed at 11 at worst. So somewhere early 10 o'clock, worst 10:30, extreme 11. And so I've been up till midnight, and man, that nap I got to take this afternoon because I didn't have nowhere to be. He was at school, flight canceled. That hour I got was glorious, bro. It was
That's hilarious.
Wonderful. So yeah,
you crave long naps.
Man. And normally I take a nap. I try to take a nap every day at work, 15 minutes. 15 minutes a day, and I'm straight. So, but yeah, man, we got a dope show for you tonight, man. We're gonna talk a little bit about Chrome 23. We're gonna do a little bit different. Shout out to Mr. Temperature Check. Shout out to Three Letterman. You've done a couple of recaps with them, so I'm gonna do it a little bit different. I'm not gonna necessarily have you recap your performance in terms of what you thought you did well, what you thought Vixen did well. We're going to start here. First, shout out to Remy Ma, shout out to Chrome 23 for a really dope event. Showed a lot of love, a lot of hospitality. The venue was really dope. Listen, battle rap, you can go a long way by having seats and food. If you got them in the building, you've accomplished a lot. Especially when battle rap events last for 6-7 hours. Which she's, if you go check out her interview with Three Letterman again, she talked about some of the wait times and what happened and why it took so long from the doors to open for the event to start. But dope event, very dope event. And a couple of observations from that. I want to say one thing. We're gonna get to the Hitman and Easy battle. But I want to say this: when that battle, I watched that battle back this week. It was very interesting that she said they're calling this the Super Bowl of battle rap, and I'm like, I don't know if that was intentional because I normally when I hear that, my mind instantly goes to URL and Summer Madness because that is they have co-opted that slogan of it's the Super Bowl of battle rap, and so I
I
found
think
that
she
to
just, I think she just meant it because she knew Kansas City was going to outperform Philadelphia that night. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! So I found that to be very very interesting. But again, shout out to her, man. Like, and to meet her in person and like very down to earth, very cool,
Super, super
super
humble, super
cool.
man. Yeah.
Like if you didn't know no better, like you would think, oh, that's my home girl from around the way, like that type of vibe.
Mhm.
So definitely appreciative for the love that she showed to yourself and by extension myself. So I want to start here. I'm going to take you out of the running for performance of the night. I think most people will concede that it's yourself. Some people say easy. And I feel like that I kind of led the witness there at the question, but I will ask you performance of the night, excluding yourself, goes to.
Man, honestly, I would say C3 or Hustle. um,
Okay.
maybe go with it's difficult performance of the night. I had this conversation with France, and I'm like, do you factor in like how big of an impact the battle was, and like who's battling, it's a main event and that kind of stuff, or are you just talking about who basically performed at the highest level, of what they do? For me, like C3 was pretty flawless up there. Won $25,000 was the first battle. She got really crazy in the first two rounds. Her third round took a dip. Um, Hustle to me, the reason why I was so impressed by Hustle was just the poise and everything to have to go last after like 70% of the people left. So you're sitting there and you got a tired crowd already, and you got like maybe a few hundred people left in a building, all scattered around. The energy's not there, so she had to like really cultivate that and like create that energy with her performance, and I was really impressed by that too. Um, but ultimately, it's easy hit, man. The consensus is, I mean, I was in the building, but I wasn't actively watching the battle in the building. I actively watched the first round, and then I just caught things in the second and third. I was doing interviews. I was going around. The consensus around battle rap is that Easy won the battle. And I do remember him having some really, really good material, and him up there, just performing very well, being in Hitman's face, getting in show out space, stuff like that. So, I mean, since that's such a big battle or whatever, like I'm not mad at Easy being, the performer of the night outside of myself. But yeah, I think C3 and Hustle definitely are in that running as well.
Respect. And let me say this about C3. I feel like I'm shout out to caution. I think me and Illa, shout out to Illa who was out in NYC with us this weekend. Like I think that we were talking about that battle and we were like, yo, it's learning and it's a learning experience for her, right? I'm assuming that's her first time, big stage, 1,000, maybe 1,500 people in the building. And I think she'll learn how to better craft and tailor her material for those types of rooms and events. But I feel like C3, when you talk about like the leading ladies of battle rap, like I feel like people are going to start with Jazz. They're going to mention Hustle. You might get some
Bonnie.
Bonnie, you might get some Farrah, some Shoonies. You maybe even get some Vixens, and I feel like people kind of get around to C3 eventually, right? Like I don't feel like people will start within those first two or three names. And so I think it was dope to see her win. It's dope to see her get her flowers. And listen, not wanting to play matchmaker in that way, but a Remy, if you want to throw a small room event at Cakes NYC,
Yeah.
C3 versus A Ward, I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? Like all I
Hey
just require
man.
I require
Stop trying
5%.
to get these people murdered, bro. Stop trying to get them. Come on,
Nah, see,
man.
see, see. I'm a you my guy, you my man, 100 grand, but I'm a big up C3. C3 got bars. C3 is nice. You know what I'm saying? And I think that'd be a nice little matchup. You know what I'm saying? Put that in in Cakes NYC and let's make it happen. You know, ladies and gents too. Like, what we doing? You know what I'm saying?
Hilarious.
That'd be a good one. I think that'd be a good one. So, but nah, man, shout out to C3. I'm happy she got her bread. I'm happy she's getting her flowers. Like I said, I'm happy that she's able to soak in that moment and people are able to appreciate her and her talent. You're right. Shout out to Hustle. 3 dope rounds. Full of energy, like you said, as the building was not as packed. I mean, I understand why they went Hitman and Easy after you guys. But like, yeah, to be able to put on when after you're I don't want to call it the after party because I don't think that's fair, but like you're after the thing that everybody came to see. And so
Right.
great performance from her. Dope performance from her. Yeah, Easy. So let's I'm gonna get to you and Vixen in just a second. Let's talk Easy and Hitman. Have you had a chance to go back and watch it?
I have not. No, I have not, man. I like I said, I edged Hitman the first round in the building. And then was pretty clear. I was pretty clear, like just in listening to crowd reaction and stuff like that. Like it seemed like the Easy took the second and third, clear in the building. But I have not gone back to watch it. I actually came home and started watching the King of the Dot battles first, and started watching some of those. So that's what kind of I'm in the middle of.
So I watched it back, and I'm curious if you ever get it.
How long is it?
It's an hour and 18 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's yeah. And I didn't watch. It took me like I watched it over the span of 2 days.
Okay.
Right? Because like a battle with that type of time span on it's just like to watch it all in one sitting is a chore. I feel like Hitman was dancing up there in that first, bro. Like he was in different pockets.
Yeah.
Stand down or be the next brother I stand over is crazy. He jumps into the Philly flow at the end of that when he starts off with he grabs the coin. I thought I'd get this to you since you struggling so much. Oh, you don't want the quarter? I'm gonna give you the nickel then. Like, I mean, he was doing a lot. And Easy's first is also dope, but I'm like, man, I feel like Hitman did more in that first to me than Easy. I do think Easy got the second clear. The third, I mean, the crowd had gotten a hit, man, and he was just like, I don't want to say going through the motions because I don't think that's fair to a battler of his caliber and standard, but he wasn't given the same level of energy. The mic issues, and I'll say this about the mic issues. Being in the building, we were at the very back, and it was, I think because at that far back, so many people are talking, like it was hard to hear him just because of all the like you're trying to drown out the background noise of the people just to hear him get his bars out. So I think if we would have been closer up, it would have been a little bit easier to hear him. So, but I think if Hitman switches the Philly flow and the show out jump in, he might. I feel like the energy around that battle changes. We might be talking about maybe Hitman got that third.
Yeah.
Philly flow got the crowd so energized. I think he would have gotten them back if he jumps into that to end his battle versus throwing, because he had so much in his first, bro. He could have easily moved some of that material around.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, and as far as Easy, like, look, man, Easy, he's one of my favorites. Since the Ultimate Madness tournament, he's done his numbers. He's put on against Calico, Shine, Hitman, Verb, like, and you cannot, while some people might debate whether or not he won or lost those, you can't pin a clear loss on him.
Yeah.
And all this does is elevate him to another level, right? He's going to get the YouTube drop. It's going to do 1 million views in my estimation.
Yeah, it's probably going to do 2.
And like this,
it might. Yeah.
So I want to ask you this. So let's talk about your battle with Vixen. Great performance.
Thank you.
Performance. So I want to start here. So you have the bar where you talk about, I'm the one that's born. If you don't catch you'll catch if you don't catch it now, you get the bars overnight, like DeAndre Jordan, right? And the crowd doesn't really react, obviously, in the way that you thought they should, because you goes, that was crazy.
Yeah.
So when you write a bar and in your head you're thinking, okay, maybe it's going to get a reaction. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. Or maybe you're thinking at worst you get a little bit of ooze, but you don't even get that. Like, what goes through your head in that moment?
Well, it was part of the setup too to the later on punch of the same. So it wasn't the punchline necessarily. It was a punchline, but it was all in the same multi. So you're kind of anticipating that reaction, but you also have to get to the end of the segment. So the end of the segment was passing the captain like LeBron James scoring. Um, so yeah, when it doesn't hit the way you think it's gonna hit, because I mean, I just called myself the sports bar king. I'm like, hey guys, I'm the sports bar king. I'm getting ready to show you why this is a crazy sports bar. And then you get no reaction. You're like, dang, and like I even thought to myself like, how do I perform this bar out? But the funny thing about it, and it's just is that like if the bar is if you don't get it, you'll catch it overnight like DeAndre Jordan, and nobody reacted. And then, like people were, oh, like, so it's literally the metaphor like worked. Like it was like, yo, they didn't get it, and then they caught it. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like the beauty in that and the irony in that was really, really funny. But yeah, I don't never normally, I don't ever really write for crowd reaction. I usually know how to get right into the next line or whatever. But I think that was a situation where I was like, wow, like, y'all didn't get that. Okay, cool. But it didn't deter me or anything like that. I just kept it moving. So
I hear you. So on the reverse that, let's flip that now.
mhm.
When you have, a set of bars like, the overreacting, the OJ, the Crown Vic bar, when you have bars like that really shake the room. Like I wasn't with you when you battled Ill Will, so I wasn't there. I feel like Max Out 2 never really had one of those types of moments where like the crowd goes like crazy like that. Had a couple of moments where they were like, oh, okay, yeah, 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 So when you have a moment like those where you're just like shaking the building, like what is that feeling like when you shake the building with a bar?
It's great, man. But like that is the hardest part of like, right. You have to stay locked into your material. Um, after the 14th line, um, I forgot my lines. I forgot my lines. You see me up there, like you see people reacting, going crazy and stuff like that. And I watched it back, and like you can just see my head go down. I turn around to like facing like the host and stuff like that, and you see my head go down, and then you can kind of just see me in like almost how I look when I'm thinking of rebuttals. And I skipped the line. I skipped the next two lines, and then went straight into the wool A or whatever. But like when the bar hits and you see him going crazy, like you want to enjoy that. You know what I mean? You want to celebrate. You want to provide. I mean, some of the greatest things is just the after effects of that bar hitting and seeing everybody go crazy, smacking hands with people, stuff like that. But it's just a fine line between hitting that and still being locked back in to get ready to go to the next material. But yeah, man, it was awesome because against Ill Will, those room shakers, were rebuttals. Like, I'd probably drop the building like 3 or 4 times against Ill Will on 3 or 4 different rebuttals. And to go back into a big stage and to know that you did that just based off what you actually wrote down and practiced out, is a different feeling. A lot of times people say, well, he only, it's because he was a rebuttal, it's because he freestyle. That's why they're so shocked. His freestyles are better than his written. It's just da 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 da. And then, in at the end of the day, I would love to just shake the building over and over with rebuttals. I would love to. But it is a fun is a fun or good feeling going from a battle and knowing that like like people really was going crazy off of what I wrote. You know, for this big stage. And that was dope to me.
Yeah, man, like seeing that live, like that, like I told you after the battle, like, there are those moments where in battle rap that are kind of like Tay Rock's seatbelt bar, um, Verb. I mean, we're gonna get the Verb in a second, but Iron Low, like I'm anemic. Like, like those bars is just like where the crowd is losing their mind. Um, I put a gun on a PG and mess his whole life up. Like shout out to Marvin Quest. Like those bars were just like, oh my God. And like to experience that in real time in New York too, right? Because I feel there was this obviously this whole, talk of, well, he's not gonna be able to rock an NYC crowd. And I get it, it's not URL, right? But it's still New York. It's still battle rap fans, and
Hmm.
it is one of the toughest places in the world to rap because of where it is, right? Like it is kind of talk about Madison Square Garden is the Mecca, like New York for obvious reasons is the Mecca. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? And so to I guess speak to that a little bit, like what was it like to not just rock any crowd, right? There are some great crowds. I know URL MCs talk really highly of New Orleans. Houston, I've heard, has been great, has had great crowds. Some Atlanta crowds, they can be hit or miss, but some of those crowds have been really good. So to rock a crowd in New York City, like how does it feel for you to have a crowd be so receptive in that setting?
Yeah, a lot of times the week leading up, I people asking me, are you worried about the stage? You know what I mean? And like, man, I feel like I'm born for the stage. Like a lot of battlers will tell you they prefer to be rapping in small rooms and they prefer different things like that or whatever. I think I'm very good in all environments, but I definitely think I am like born for the stage. You know what I mean? To entertain and to be on stages like that. Um, I just knew that. I mean, and I think I was sparring with you. You heard the material before. I knew that I had written correctly. I was like, look, my first round is a rocket, like out the gate. You know what I mean? Like, if they don't rock with me the rest of the battle after hearing, like, these first 16 bars, like I didn't leave any room for them to, like, say, he's kind of dry or slow or whatever. You know, the big thing for me is, man, I'm still such a fan of like battle rap and just rap, hip hop or whatever. I think the toughest part for me was looking over and seeing like Mook and Lux and like, my son and, Fat Joe and Joe Budden and, all of these people or whatever. Like that's where the nerves get in, is because like you're just looking over at like people that you've watched and appreciated your whole entire life, like they've had countless hours of battles and albums and different things like that, that have like gotten me through, life. And it's like, man, I really want to be able to reciprocate to them, and entertain them in a way to where, they're not having to rap. They're just having a great time listening to me rap. It's not like a validation of like, yo, oh yeah, he's fire or whatever. It's like, I want to give back. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so that was one of the things that, I was like, okay, a little bit of the pressure of seeing all them and just kind of like, yo, okay, like I want to be able to like, to entertain, so to have performance of the night and to have like, just everybody going crazy, and enjoying themselves. And I'm pretty sure, you know, if you ask anybody, like, that was in that building, was like, yo, who surprised you the most, or who did you leave a fan of more of? I think that's me.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's funny to kind of go back and you talk about forgetting the bars. Like, I think one of the first things we talked about when you got off the stage, I think I was like, "Yo, you missed the bar," and you were like,
Yeah,
"I think I did too," and I'm like, we like
yeah,
going right back to your voice notes over the material that you spit to listen, like to go, "Did you miss something?" Yep, there
yeah,
it is, right
yeah.
there. It. I think again to go back to the Crown Vic moment, like part of what makes that moment so crazy. So I go back to the Tay Rock and the seatbelt bar. Part of it's obviously the bar itself, but when you watch JC, who knows what's coming, right? And when you see JC react before he even says, and the seatbelt won't buckle up, right? And to see Mook walk off the stage and out of the camera, or not off the stage, but out of the camera's view, because he knows what's coming, right? Shout out to Ben Swayze. Ben Swayze putting the hood up.
Just a subtle, like him walking up and just,
Yeah, yeah. You got Ike P walking out on stage. Jazz, whose reaction is interrupted by Ike P bumping her because
yeah,
she had jazz face. Then of course the coup de grace is France coming up there. You're the goat. So it's like it's all of these notable names from we're talking from all the way from the inception of battle rap to modern day, right? All the from various generations all reacting at once. That also makes it iconic. Last question about that. Bro, does your chest ever hurt when you're sitting there beating on it like dog?
It's like in football. Whenever they come off somebody smacks you in the helmet or you headbutt each other or whatever. It's kind of just like adrenaline or whatever. You know what I mean? So, oh man, I have no clue. Like I don't practice any of that celebration stuff. I don't know like, oh, this bar's gonna hit. This is what I'm gonna do afterwards or whatever. Like I didn't even know I was gonna sit down on the stage until like I got up there and I was like, oh, this is a good idea. Because the camera was in the right position and stuff. So I was like, no, but no, yeah, man, it was going back and watching everybody's, reactions and stuff like that, man. And like, shout out to like Mook and Jazz and these people, like a lot of battle rappers and a lot of just people in general are way too cool, like they just want to be too cool and they just want to be like, and so like to be able to like give props and just visibly be on screen, like enjoying it, going crazy, you know what I mean? Like, because those people, they could easily just be like, I can't go crazy and react because I might battle him one day, and I don't want him being like, oh, you a fan of me type stuff, you know what I mean? So I got to be all stoic. Now, so shout out to them, man. Shout out to them for enjoying it and for being front and center and being entertained the entire time for real.
Yeah, that's what's up. That's
I
what's up.
saw I saw the pictures. I didn't know Dave East was there. I saw him tagged in the pictures.
Really,
Yeah, that
really.
Chrome 23 just posted. Yeah, so he was in the building too. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is dope. So that video or that photo you posted, that Hitman goes, you rocked that mug better than I did. So was that from Chrome 23 or like who do you who? Okay, okay, okay.
I
That's
took
what's
that
up.
picture when we went upstairs. Remember when we went upstairs? Like, up in that little area where they was doing. So I just put my phone down to that picture and I just made it black and white. But
Okay.
yeah. But yeah, that was funny when Hitman said you rocked it better than me. I just laughed. I didn't want to be like,
Yeah.
yeah, I did. That's
Yeah.
funny because that's my dude. But yeah, I was in my bag, man. I was in my bag.
Yo,
And the other
last
thing I
couple.
think is
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
that in that third round, like I had another building. Like it wasn't the craziest bar, but that mid round rebuttal, like nobody's heard that yet. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like it wasn't
Yeah.
on the VOD. I texted Avocado yesterday, and he said it's gonna be fine on a drop. Like he's got the other angles and everything like that. But like the VOD has like a some kind of glitch or some kind of mess up in my third round or
Yeah.
whatever. And I had another like kind of not as big as the OJ and stuff, but it was a moment where the crowd was going crazy. So
Yeah. Yeah. So last couple of observations before we jump into the sports side of things. So one, shout out to the staff there. They were very, the one brother who had the fro, like not mean, but he was just very like, remember we were upstairs? We're upstairs, we're watching it, right? We're trying to find a place to sit. And he comes upstairs, he's like, hey, who are you with? I'm like, well, I'm with the artist. This A Word's right here. He's like, let me see your bands. We showing the bands. He's like, you can't be up here. I need you to leave. Right?
oh dang,
He was he was just one of those, like, he was like, hey, I'm doing my job. I need you to step out the way. Like they were very like they weren't over the top, right? Were
yeah,
over the they allowed you in spaces. Couple more observations. I'll say this about Easy. Shout out to Easy and the team he's with. He obviously has a huge crew with him.
yeah,
I mean, that brother had he had a football team.
yeah.
Like it was a lot of dudes. But one thing I
Mm-hmm.
respect about them is kind of watching them move around is they're always like checking out for each other. So it's like, you good? You good? You good? You need anything? Where you know what I'm saying? So I respect the way they moved as a unit and the way they watched out for each other. I thought was really dope. And as we segue to the sports side of things, people want to talk about who's the GOAT, LeBron or Jordan in basketball. Let me tell you why Jordan is the GOAT. Go to a battle rap event and walk around in J's for 6-7 hours. Some of the most uncomfortable, like the dogs be barking around about hour 4.5.
Yeah,
Jordan is the GOAT because he played basketball in these things for 13, 14 years. I don't know how it is to make shoes that are so aesthetically pleasing to watch or look at, but then when you wear them for longer than 3 hours, they automatically start to murder your feet. Like, oh
hilarious.
my dog, my feet were killing. Like you said, like Hitman, the reason I had to go back, um, the reason I have to go back and watch Hitman Easy, because kind of like you, my feet was hurt, dog. I couldn't focus. Like, not only the crowd, but I was just like, I was so ready I was hungry. Because I think at that point, I don't know if they had stopped serving food or whatever. And like it was so many people around there. The whole trying to navigate that, I didn't feel like doing it.
Yeah.
But it was just like, bro, I'm just like, listen, man, I need y'all to get through these rounds a little bit faster so I can get the Shuni and hustle. We can get the heck up out of here.
Yeah.
And so last thing, so we get downstairs. Last observation, we get downstairs. We have this VIP area that's set up for like us, for the artists and their plus ones, right? So we're sitting there chilling, and um, I think France comes over, Swayze comes over, Bill Collector and his wife show up. They kind of sit in the section for a little bit. And so, official and her plus one, he's like, yo, save the seats for me. So they come over and I'm like, yo, like those are, official and her people, like that's their seats. And so they was kind of like, okay, cool. So Bill Collector sat there for a minute, chopped it up. Then he goes over to this other section, right? We go to grab Iller because, he had been outside for a minute. He's the other part of the group, right? And so like me and him come down on this in the standing area, and I keep looking back at that VIP, and then all of a sudden I see Bill Collector, then I see Tay Rock, then I see Suge, then I see Twerk. I'm trying, and like maybe 3 or 4 other battle rappers have now like all like come. I don't know where they would sit because there was not enough seats for all of them. Only 4 seats, and I was like, well, I guess we're gonna be walking around for the rest of the night.
Yep.
I'm like,
Yep.
it's not like it was even that big an issue because I mean it wasn't like we still found places to hang out, chill, sit down, relax or whatever. Which again, shout out to Sony Music Hall, but it was just like, yo, like that became battle rapper central in that one area. And I'm like, I still don't know how they all because again, there were already people sitting there. There was only 4, maybe 5 or 6 chairs, and there had to be like 20 people in that spot. So again, shout out to Sony Music Hall, man. Great event. Shout out to Ring with My Chrome 23. Y'all hit us up at Brains and Bars. Let us know what y'all think about the event. Post battle, last thing I do want to get to. So the fallout from this event. I watched an interview with Easy, and I watched an interview with Easy on Black Compass yesterday, and he got to talking about his career, and he got to talking about his future as it relates to URL. And he referenced YouTube drops. He's made. I ain't gonna lie to you. I feel like Easy found like a lot of my tweets when I would argue with people about the platform and whether or not you needed to be there and what the platform means versus others. Because he talked about the NBA. He made the NBA URL comparison and talked about it being it's a platform. A platform is a platform is a platform. Now he's like, I understand that this is the biggest platform. Right? It's the one with the highest, with the biggest reach. But he goes, name me the 11th player on the 76ers. You can't name them. He's like, why? Because they're not the stars. Like Embiid and those guys put in the work. They're the faces of the franchise. And he's like, look, I get it. It's URL. But I had to also put in the work to put myself in the position where I can have these types of looks. Because he was like, I could have got up there, got packed up in one of my first battles, and they never called me again. Right? So they asked him directly, like, are you open to battling? And they mentioned RBE. Now, he does not answer, right? He doesn't say yes. He just goes, I'm open to battling. And so from that little segment, you get the feeling that at least for now, because he talked about YouTube drops and how important they were for him in his career, that for now, he is going to battle off the world's biggest and battle opponents in that Hitman. I think him and Mook is being the battle that's being talked about now as what should be next for him on different leagues to get the YouTube drops. So I said all that to say, as someone like yourself, who there's been lots of talks about you and URL and whether or not you should sign exclusive. Now, he did say he was not going to sign an exclusivity deal ever again. He said, I will sign, per battle, right? So as someone like yourself, who independence has been a big part of your story and your journey, to kind of hear that from Easy, and I encourage you to go check it out. Go check out Black Compass Media's interview of Easy. Is really dope. I know. That was to the listener and the viewer.
Okay, gotcha.
Go check it out. But hearing that, like, what's your response to Easy potentially, at least for now, maybe not battling on URL and taking the independent route?
It's It's interesting, man. I think I look at everything case by case. You know, the tough thing with the easy situation is, yes, he put in the hard work and he performed at a high level to get where he's at. You know,
Mhm.
um, with that being said, URL played a big part in getting where he's at. You know, like
Mhm.
so so just the bat. I mean, they were giving him Mook. You know, at one point in time. You know,
Yeah.
they were giving him. You know, they the goods battle, the the cat. I mean, just they're giving him legendary battlers. You know,
Mhm.
now check this out. He was performing at a high level, but I don't necessarily think there was a run that other guys have been on too, and they weren't getting, those types of names. They were kind of giving him that Geechee treatment, and I think it was because of what type of battler he is. I think URL is very, very in tune with what they want the face of what they're doing to be like.
Mhm.
Um, so part of me just is like, man, like they got you here, like the loyalty to that brand, like what you're saying that you want to do now with your career that they brought you to the top of the mountain is you're going directly against their entire motto for what battle rap is now. You know, like they are no battle rap lives on this app. We want to monopolize battle rap. We want to sign everybody. We want them here, and we want this. You know what I mean? And you're going against that grain. So, um, not only is it yes, I mean I've been saying it. This is what I want to do or whatever. But for him to do it, and then for other battlers to look at that as well and possibly follow in his footsteps, you know, that's just a tough situation because it's like I'm sure Smack and Bees and all of them are just like, wow, like we got you here. And the whole "we got you here," I never subscribed to it because I've done King of the Dot, I've done RBE, I've done, and a lot of different leagues have provided me with good talent or whatever. And I've always just been like, yo, like you didn't make me, we made this thing happen. We came together. You know what I mean? But Easy himself, you know, I think it was is a different type of story because he was a guy that was like, wasn't highly recruited by other leagues to like come out. I think he did a 1SK battle on RBE one time. I think that
He did.
but he wasn't like a hot commodity. You know what I mean? And URL is like, all right, we'll put you in this tournament. We're gonna put you. He lost in the tournament. URL still like, okay, we're gonna put you up against this person. Um, so I think it's gonna be good for him, but I do wonder like if it's really going to fracture that relationship that he has with URL, and if it's going to cause other people to be like, hey, I want to be more like Easy. Um, so yeah, and that's shoot, it's probably gonna be an angle used against him too. Like
Mm.
in the future, like how dare you, turn around and run to YouTube, after they did what they did for you. So
So I'll say this. I have long been a proponent, and I think it makes sense of battlers taking kind of the route the Easy's done, right? Because it doesn't make sense to, and I think you've talked about this, to sign a deal with the league where there's no upfront money.
right,
There's no, hey, we're going to give you this battle, this battle, this battle, put you on this platform, this platform, this platform, right? And it's just basically you put your career in their hands
yeah,
and you hope that they do right by you,
right,
right? And so I get it from that standpoint. I listen, listening to him talk, I had the same emotions and feelings as you. It was like, yo, like I get it. You're the talent, but they invested a lot into you and gave you a lot of big battles, right? I
mhm,
mean, I don't now I'm going to mess up the trajectory of this, but I think it goes Danny, Top, Shine, and then it just kind of takes off from there, right? And so without I don't it feels kind of crazy to say without URL you don't get the Fresh Prince look. But I mean, like that they did give you the visibility to where when this show comes around,
yeah,
you have I forget what battle he had just I don't think the chess battle had happened yet. I think he'd already filmed by that point. But I mean, like they had, I mean, yeah, like they help make you a
Yeah, I mean,
star.
I know Morgan Cooper. He's from here, Kansas City. I had the conversations with him. Like he's seen Easy on URL. Enjoyed Easy off of on URL.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why.
So
I mean, he's a battle rap fan. Remember he's been through championing the trailer that he originally dropped.
yeah, but I'll say
So
this: URL needs to reevaluate how they do things. I've tweeted them several times when talking about you and your career. Sign you up to a 4 battle deal.
yeah,
At the end of that 4 battle deal, if you like the business, you like the performances, you can come back to the table and say, let's do 4 more battles in a year. Right? Like, to me, I hope, and here's the other part. This could force URL to negotiate, because we've seen a lot of people say, hey, me and URL at a crossroads. We're done. I'm not battling there anymore. And then they turn around and like within 3 months, they're back again. Right?
yeah, yeah.
This could force URL to say, okay, Easy, we're going to meet your demand. The battle will
Uh-huh.
go on the app first, but then within a month and a half, 2 months, it drops on YouTube. Right? This might force them to have to sit down and not be so stubborn to say it is our way or the highway, which is, to me, it's always been a huge issue with URL and your negotiations of it's got to be this way or no way. It's like, I get it. Y'all are the world's biggest league, but you're not the only competition. And I
Yeah.
think Remy, with this battle, I think some of those guys are there to see the performances, but it's also kind of like prospecting, right? It's looking around and saying 1,500 people sold out, probably over capacity, close to it. These guys are talking. They know what they're being paid. It's good money, and so yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this works out for him, because if he can get Mook, Arsenal, I think he mentioned Clips, he gets YouTube drops for all those guys. When he circles the block to come back to URL, the bag is going to be higher, and the demands are going to be different.
Here's the other thing. Man, I've talked about it so often. That he's a strategist. He's strategic. He is. I don't know, a strategist, if that's even a noun. But
Strategist,
he's a
like he.
strategist. Okay. Um. So look at it this way, right?
Mm-hmm.
People have said, how did Easy just get here without having to battle people in his class? You know what I mean? Without having to go through the gauntlet of the other guys that are in his class, right? So now you leave the app. So now your matchups outside on YouTube are not your class, definitely, because your class is still on the app. So
Yep.
now he's positioned himself where he doesn't have to go take the app battle or the caffeine battle against a Real Sick or a Luke Castro or a Loso or guys that maybe are not at this level, And so what you're going to see is, if you see Easy on YouTube and if you see him, he's going to be battling the legendary battlers, And so he's positioned himself to where now ain't nobody booking Easy versus Jada Nightwing or something like that, on YouTube. It's just not going to happen. So now he's strategically and smart, strategically said, like, yo, I'm out here. I want YouTube drops. And what he's saying is, hey, I want main events and I want big names every time I battle, And we see what URL's doing. URL, they took Geechee to the top, and then even Tay Rock now they're cycling them through. Oh, here you go Swervu, here you go Ryder, here you go Jay Mills, here you go. They're just trying to put out content. You know what I mean? And these guys got so high up, and then they just started kind of running them through, like, we'll go ahead and battle this person now. We'll go ahead and battle that person. And I think Easy's like, nah, we're not doing that with my career. I'm not going to stay on this app long enough for you to just all of a sudden start talking about how, oh yeah, you got to battle here now. How about you got to battle them? Okay, well, now we'll give you Mook if you do these 2 battles on the app or whatever type stuff. He's like, nah, for now on, my battles are going to be main events and they're going to get YouTube drops, and it's a smart technique. But there is one that is out there in the YouTube world, walking around, who is not to be messed with, and he does not want that smoke. There is one. He left home. He's going through the YouTube forest, and then I'm the YouTube king, Easy. Not view wise. Not view wise.
I have campaigned for that battle for some time, and hopefully at some point down the road it will happen. I think once he talked about
If
his
he's
career,
a competitor, it'll happen. Like if he, you have to really see if people are competitors or if they're just like brand ambassadors, you know what I mean, type stuff. Like which I'm not mad at either. If you're just like, nah, bro, like I got myself to the top, I'm making all this money, I'm not gonna, But if he's a competitor, if he's like, yo, I don't, that's a whole different type of battle. Me and him.
yeah, yeah.
So if he's a competitor, it'll happen. But if he's more so like just trying to stay in tune with like what he's building and his brand and everything like that, you know, then I don't know how it happens necessarily. If that makes sense.
I think Easy is a competitor. He talks about he feels that he's better than all of these guys. And like listening to him talk to his career, I mean, he did say like, "Hey, I'm going to battle these legends, and then I'm going to circle back, right, and kind of come back to some of these guys in my class." And at that, I mean, if he continues to have good performances where you can't say he clearly lost, he doesn't choke, right? He puts in the work. Then I think at some point, like you and Easy will happen, right? Because I think you're kind of headed towards that same trajectory where, hey, maybe you and Verb happen this year. Hey, maybe you and Hollow happens this year, right? I mean, I think there's been some talk of a respective vet like T Top, right? I mean, I think once you are headed in that same path, if the journeys have been different, the path has been more of a slow grind for, and to be fair, it's been more of a slow grind for him too, right? Like he talks about his career. He started back in 13, he goes to jail, comes back home, and then he kind of builds back up from there. His rise has been more overnight. When you look at the last 20 from 2020 to now, right? In terms of the resume and the names he's gotten, yours has been more of a slow grind, a slow build. But I do think at some point the culture is going to add. The culture has asked for it beyond myself in some way anyway. But at some
Yeah,
point, the demand is going to happen. The demand
yeah.
is going to be there. So, and when it does, I can't wait to be there. I can't wait to watch it in person, and enjoy and see and debate who wins and who loses. Because obviously you're the homie. Easy's one of my favorites, and so that'll be one to see. So, yo, hit us up. Let us know what y'all think about these topics, man, and battle rap. Let's hit a couple of quick things in the world of sports before we get up out of here. So, first of all, you sent me a video today in our group chat of a baseball game. I can't remember who the teams were. I think it was the Yankees and Indians, Yankees or Guardians. I forget who it was.
Yeah.
My man gets a strikeout in 20 seconds.
All right. So you got 20 seconds right now to tell me how you feel about it.
Trash. Big trash. Listen, man, like I'm not here. Listen, I get it. I'm a 40-year-old. I may be sounding like an old man. I'm not here to watch baseball take place as if they're trying to squeeze off as many plays before the 2-minute warning. This is not football. This is baseball. The whole part of this game is that it takes time to play. Like I get it. The average demographic of the baseball, average age of a baseball fan is somewhere like around the lower 50s to mid 50s. I'm 40. Count me a part of that demographic. I don't need quick pitch baseball. This isn't MLB The Show 23. Give me, like, for example, Bryce Harper, Game 5, NLCS against the Padres. If you have that play happen, it's not as dramatic. If in 20 seconds he comes up to the plate and smacks a 3-1 homer, that's not dramatic. There's no tension there. It's just like it's like you simmed it. You went auto sim. I don't need that. I don't want that. It is not a situation I need or like. Shout out to Briz. I hate it. MLB, I'm not saying you can't have a pitch clock. I'm saying you can't have these guys up here throwing every 2 seconds because it's not fair to the batter, if you want to be really honest, right?
Yeah.
Part of baseball is it is a chess match between the pitcher and the hitter. You
Yeah.
cannot have that if the pitcher is just like, imagine you take 100-mile-an-hour heater towards your dome.
Yeah.
And now within 5 seconds, you got to get up, ignore that you almost got concussed by this man throwing this baseball, and wait for him to fire another rocket up there at the plate, and you got to try to hit it. I'm like, come on, man. I know I went over 20 seconds. And
we're in the fifth inning now. We're in the fifth inning now.
Like, I hate to sound like an old man, but that was trash to me. And
now there was also What about the rule change of the um pickoff move? You can only do twice now, and the third one is a balk.
It'll be so I don't necessarily mind that because I feel like guys don't steal bases as much anyway. Like I actually heard a stat that like it had been like 8 or 9 years since someone stole 50 bases. And that
Oh
used
wow.
to be, and I have to make sure I got that right. I'll fact check myself on that, but it has been a minute since you've seen guys like it's a lost art. Like everything is home run or strikeout. And so if that gets banning, I think they got rid of the shift. If you allow contact hitters back into the game and make that a part of the game, that does make the game a little bit more interesting. So I'm not mad at that because if it encourages more thievery, if it encourages more stealing, then yeah, I'm with that. I'm with that. But that time clock thing was super whack, bro.
Yeah,
It
I
was.
mean, definitely like the playoffs, man. I remember when the Royals won the World Series. Just the like you said, watching the game and the anticipation of just the next pitch or that 3-2 count or whatever. It makes baseball different. You know, like football, basketball. Already, you got these shot clocks. You got delay game penalties. Like you kind of know, okay, the play's about to happen. But with baseball, you're able to kind of sit there and like, all right, and you're kind of tuned in. It makes it different.
It's a game. Like I don't understand why leagues try to cater to a generation that only cares about highlights. Like, look, the NFL is king, and part of the reason the NFL is king is because one, there is time in between plays, right? The season is shorter. There's 17 games, so every game does mean a lot more than when you have 82 in the NBA or
Yeah,
82 in the NHL or 162 in baseball. Like the games all the games mean something in all those sports, but they mean much more because the margin of error is more slim in the NFL. You're not going to catch an NFL, NBA, or NHL or MLB. So instead of trying to compete against each other, cater to your fan base,
yeah,
cater
yeah,
to the
yeah,
people who love you, make it palatable and fun for them, and then allow them to then bring in other people into the fun instead of trying to
yeah.
market to Gen Zers who are silently quitting. Don't get me started. I'm about to go on this is about to be the old man podcast for the next 10 minutes because like they don't care about anything. They
I'm
don't.
silently quitting my job. I read that article. I was like, that's me. I'm not even Gen Z. I was like, I read that article. Yeah, hey, that's me.
Like yo, like man, like it's stop trying to cater to these people who don't care. They don't care about anything but themselves. They're
Yeah.
selfish. Yeah, I'm talking about you, Gen Z. You're selfish. You don't care about anybody but yourself. Somebody's gonna kill me for all this bad gender bashing I'm doing, generational
Hilarious.
bashing. But yeah, man. So real quick, let's jump into the end. Well, let's talk NFL Combine real quick because a couple of people were standing out. Nolan Smith is going to be the star of day one. He was out for most of the season with the Georgia Bulldogs because of an injury he suffered. But he is the star of the combine, at least now for day one. He ran a 4.340, ran a 4.4 his first time. Vertical leap was 41 inches. And he's an edge guy. Like this isn't a wide receiver we're talking about. We're talking about
Yeah,
somebody who's paid to rush the passer. So he's definitely going to be, I think most mocks had him as a top 10 pick. Or maybe top 15. He's probably going to be top 10 now
yeah.
with this performance. You got a guy from Tennessee who ran a really fast 40. What's his name again?
Byron Young. Yeah, 4.43.
Oh,
Supposed to be. He's originally was going to be like a late. Probably a day two.
yeah.
Maybe third round, something like that. From what I gathered, but start running fast and start putting together these drills. Like you can jump up pretty quick. I think that when the receivers and everybody run, that you're going to see Jalen Hyatt. He can probably go from a late second round to a mid first round. Based off of his 40 time. And so you're going to find out if he runs that in that 4.2 category or whatever. It's going to be tough.
So I'll say this: teams, I get it. The combine is there to test a lot of different things, from physical to mental acuity. The tape don't lie though. I don't care how fast a brother runs. I don't care how high he jumps. The tape does not lie. And when I say that in regard to Will Levis. The tape does
Tape
not
does not lie.
lie. It tells the truth. And look, listen, Anthony Richardson, he is going to be a top 10 pick because people are going through the tape and they are really liking what they're seeing. I don't know if that brother should go that high. God bless you if you take him. I know there have been a lot of he could be the next Josh Allen comparisons being thrown around out there. We'll see. But all I'm going to say it one more time. The tape in battle rap and in football, the tape does not lie. Last thing, we're gonna get out of here. I'm not because I know you got another obligation, so I want to make sure you can prep and get ready for
Oh
that.
yeah, I forgot about that. Dang, I already forgot about it. It's at 7, so I got 17 minutes to get ready for that. All right.
Absolutely. So last thing, the Jets. If you are a GM, I want to throw this poll up on the at Brains and Bars Twitter feed, and I'll probably throw it on Facebook as well. Show them some love. If you are the Jets GM and you can trade for Lamar Jackson. I almost forgot. I almost said some other name. Lamar Jackson, Aaron Rodgers, or sign Derek Carr. Which do you do? Right. Once the signing of one does not require you to lose any draft assets. Right. You're obviously going to have to give up significant draft picks to get either of those other two guys. So if you are a GM, Aaron Rodgers, Lamar Jackson, or Derek Carr, who do you go after?
I'm going after Lamar Jackson. Yeah.
Why Lamar?
I just think long term that's the better option. If I'm going to make any kind of, Aaron Rodgers to me has only got maybe a handful of more years. Derek Carr to me is not the answer really for any franchise. I think he's probably going to end up with the Saints. He's a serviceable quarterback. Maybe you build around him or whatever. I'm not going to sit here and act like Derek Carr can't get you to the playoffs or win a game or anything like that. But I think the Jets are starving for that guy. And everybody thought, oh, Zach Wilson's going to be perfect because he's, frat guy, just, Joe Cool or whatever, and that's the kind of people they like. I think Lamar Jackson is that guy too. So, I'm trading for Lamar Jackson, or I'm signing Derek Carr and enjoying the next 2-3 years. And then Arch Manning will be my, my quarterback savior for after that.
All right. So does Lamar's injury history concern you at all? Basically missed most of the last 2 years.
Man, not really. I feel like there's so many injuries these days. It's very rare anybody plays the whole season. So I don't know. I don't know that I don't think it's going to hamper. I don't think it's going to hinder his ability to do what he does at a high level for another 7 to 10 years.
Okay. All right. I agree for most of the reasons that you said. I think Derek Carr, like you said, is a Band-Aid. He's not the answer. I think Aaron Rodgers, I think he's being unfairly slandered for the things that he's done. He's just being himself, and we just are the ones who are overreacting to it. So the darkness retreat and all this other stuff, he wants to be a kooky guy. Be kooky, my guy. Do your thing. But yeah, so I think I would go Lamar. I think long term, you're talking about a former MVP, a guy who could play at a high level, and a guy who would thrive in that New York setting. He's a guy who's built for that city and that moment. So yeah, I agree. So this is the last. This is it. Obviously,
this is me. I'm on my Aaron Rodgers. I'm deciding as to what podcast I'm going to join. I'm out, y'all.
That's hilarious. So, man, that's our show, man. My guy, he's got another event he need to get to. We talked more battle rap than I planned to, so we didn't really get a chance to focus on the sports side of things. So I appreciate those of you who watched us. This episode will be out tomorrow. Look out at 9:00 for podcasts. I'll probably split up the battle rap talk from. No, I won't. I won't split up the battle rap talk from the sports talk. So both of them need to drop around 9:00 tomorrow on YouTube. Please remember to subscribe. You can find us wherever you find the good podcasts. You can find us there. You can check us out on YouTube. Please hit the like button, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. You can hit us up again at Brains and Bars on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, and Instagram. I am Award, merch.com, I am Award.com for all things Award related. Until next time, it's been a black
and white
thing, man. We'll holler at y'all next week. Y'all be easy. We'll see y'all when we see y'all.
Yes, sir.